Hi, I'm Rebecca from Little Adventure Shop, and I'm really excited today because we've got Katy who's come over from Blaze Trails, and this video we're going to talk about hiking with your kids and babies in particular in the summer months. So Katy, tell us a bit more about Blaze Trails.
Thank you. Yeah, so Blaze Trails is the UK's parent and baby walking community. We run over 50 free parent and baby walking groups around the country, all over the UK. And we're all about empowering parents to get outside and breaking down some of the barriers to, just enjoying nature. And
that's brilliant. And the kids get outside from such a young age, and hopefully that sticks with them. So, but you get asked quite a lot of questions about how to prep for these hikes, I guess, and walks, particularly from parents that maybe it's the first time out with their child on their own. So that's what we're going to aim to do in this video, is bring up both our expertise together to give you a kind of rundown of things to think about, top tips, and how to dress your baby for hiking. Okay, so it's worth saying that we are both based in the UK, and the summers here can be very variable. So for example, yesterday was boiling hot and today it's checking down with rain. So when you're planning your Blaze Trails hikes, what kind of things are you thinking about?
First up, we check the weather, so to kind of check what the temperature is going to be like, whether there's going to be any rain. We try and plan quite varied walks. So if it's going to be crazy hot, we wouldn't go for a really long, epic one. We'd probably try and hit some woodland and where it's nice and shady. No, sensible. Take that into consideration. So the next thing I guess we want to talk about is how the options for carrying your baby, and there's kind of really two ways you can go with this. So the first way is kind of Katy's preference or expertise. So this is like a soft carrier. Lots of people in the UK, as well as buying pushchairs, are now buying kind of baby carriers. The great things about these are that you can wear them on your front or your back. This is actually a toddler one. What we find is that for kind of infants really love being snuggled up on the front, but as soon as they get a bit older, they really like sitting on the back, being able to look out a bit more into nature. The great thing about these is that you can take them for quite short walks, but I think the minute you go onto more epic hikes or you want to take more with you, a more structured carrier is...
I certainly had one of those until my little ones were about 6 months of age, and then I wanted them on the back in something a bit more structured. So the other option is something like this. So this is an Osprey Poco baby carrier. There's loads of different brands out there. Fundamentally, they all do the same job. So things to think about if you go down this route is make sure it fits you. The good thing about a carrier like this is you can adjust it. So if there's two of you carrying your baby, and one of you is 6'2" and the other's 5'2", you can adjust it to make it fit both of you. So just a couple of pointers if you're going to use these, because I know you spend quite a lot of time discussing this as well, Katy. So the first thing is you're going to carry most of the weight here on the waist belt. So you want that to be kind of round here on your hips, so that needs to be really tight because that's where you're going to carry most of the weight.
And once it's fitted on your hips, you want to make sure that your centre of gravity is really close into you, and you don't want your baby kind of hanging back.
So you do that by making sure you've got the shoulder strap should follow the line of your shoulder really well. There shouldn't be any gaps, and also these straps that are often missed. So if I release that strap off, and Katy, if you just pull it back, then you'll see how much with the baby in there, how much that is pulling backwards. So you want to always grab these straps, which sometimes is a bit hard to see, but grab them and pull them right forward, and then your baby will come forward and you'll feel so much more comfortable because the centre of gravity is going to move forward. The other thing with these carriers is obviously your baby's a lot more exposed than the softer carriers. So particularly in the summer, well, year round really, is you need to make sure your carrier has some kind of sunshade. This one just pulls out the back like this, and then it will come right over. So your baby's quite nicely shaded from the sun there. So yep, definite must. Don't leave home in the summer without a sunshade. Okay, so now you've decided how you're going to carry your baby. The next thing to work out is what exactly you're going to dress them in for like a summer's day hike. So how would you go about that?
It really varies depending on how old they are. So if they're kind of quite young and they're on your front, they may not be able to wear sun cream at that point. So you'll need to check kind of depending on their age and the sun cream itself. But you want to kind of keep their skin out of direct sunlight. So we'd recommend if they're on your front, they've got a hat with some kind of neck coverage. And then you can use something like a really light muslin. It's cotton, it's really lightweight.
Okay, so imagine I've got my baby here in the carrier.
You can sort of wrap it around them just to cover their limbs, tuck it in. You can tuck it up a little bit. So
but not over over their head though. You
not over their heads, to make sure they can breathe. And then as they get older, they may be able to wear sun cream. You'll find that you may want to continue keeping them kind of their arms and their legs covered with very lightweight and kind of breathable, light coloured clothing, so sleeves and legs. If you've got your child in a carrier, make sure their feet either have sun cream or they've got socks on, because you don't want to get burnt feet.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
And then as they get older, you can move into more like sort of more classic summery outfits as they're getting down and they're more active. Always a sun hat, and it's great to have one of these kind of lower neck
with the like the neck cape at the back. Because it's definitely, if you've got a baby in a like a more structured carrier at the back, you will have the sun shade up, but quite often, depending on the angle of the sun, the time of day you're walking, it's not going to give them complete coverage. So it's a good idea to have a sun hat in there as well, just to make sure the sun stays off their face. And I think one other thing I remember doing is when your baby's in the carrier, you've got to remember they're sitting under the seat, so you definitely don't want them in anything like jeans or something with a big seam, do you? You want to keep it quite flexible, soft clothing. And I certainly always went for longer sleeves just because it was easier than having to remember to put sun cream on the whole time. So I think, that's a really good advice. The next thing we're going to talk about is how you're going to carry the other stuff that you want to take with you on a hike. Okay, so you've decided on the type of carrier you're going to use, and you've dressed your baby appropriately for the weather for your hike. What else are you going to want to take with you on a Blaze Trails hike, Katy?
So this will evolve as you get more comfortable with going for a hike. But some of the things we like to take with us are a first aid kit. In summer in particular, it's useful to take a tick remover card with you, particularly if you're out in long grasses or woodland. Then we've got some spare shoes. So depending on how old your child is, they might want to get down and start walking around, but you may not want to have them on all the time, because sometimes they can kind of give you little kicks and stuff.
I remember having shoes getting flung off as my kids will waggle their feet around sometimes, and they're always getting kicked off or kicked into the back of me. So I think that's a really good idea, keeping them bare feet in the summer and put those in the back.
Little shoes or booties or something so they can get down on the ground. And then your usual sort of baby related bits. So we've got some nappies and wipes. Some kind of soft mat for them to lay down on. These are obviously disposable, but we also really recommend reusable wipes and nappies and things like that. Then it's worth really having, so your baby should have a sun hat on anyway, but sometimes I'll take a spare, because they are also things that get chucked off, and a spare pair of clothes. I really love these oversized muslins because they're so multi-use. You can use them to kind of cover your baby and keep them out of the direct sunlight, but you can also sit down on them. Both you and your baby, you can have a picnic mat.
That's a brilliant idea.
Provide shade as well.
That's great.
And then, as we've already said, the weather's really changeable, so it might be that it starts raining. You've got the carrier cover, the rain cover for your carrier.
Yeah, so that would go over the sunshade. They're all designed the same, regardless of brand. Also, if it just put the wind picks up, it doesn't have to start raining, it just gives them some more shelter because they're quite exposed to the back.
Totally. And the other thing I always try and pack is some kind of really lightweight waterproof, to make sure that, even if you get a summer shower, you don't want your baby getting wet and then cold. So that's often quite easy to take. And then finally, depending where you're walking, you want to know where you're going. So phones and kind of map apps are brilliant, but it's always really good, particularly if you're going more rurally or into the mountains, to have a map and a compass with you and to know how to use them so you can navigate.
I usually rely on OS Maps app, but I have been caught out when there's been no reception in a valley in the Peak District. So great.
And the other thing, just there's a couple of bits that we keep kind of more accessible. Things would be like sunglasses for you and your baby if they're wearing them. Bug spray is really useful, again, for ticks and mozzies, things like that. And then sun cream. So I would, even at the beginning of a hike, I would always make sure my baby and I have sun cream on, but I would always take more to reapply. And then water and snacks. So we always stay hydrated. I would bring something for my child, but also for me. And then some snacks. So staying hydrated and fueled.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point actually about remembering about yourself, because I was certainly guilty of getting my baby all kitted out and completely forgetting about myself and getting too cold or not having enough water and things like that. So so remember, it's not just about getting your baby out and about. You need to enjoy it yourself as well. Yeah. Some of the baby carriers have sort of sections you can put like the hydration bladders in. If you're familiar with those, they're quite handy as well. So yeah, and the other thing I would say, having again carried babies around for a while, is avoid having a ponytail right at the back, because mine just used to grab onto the back of it. It's really uncomfortable.
They give you a yank,
yeah,
don't
yeah.
they? Yeah.
And in terms of a sun hat, I always tended to wear like a baseball style cap, so again they couldn't grab it so easily, and I could actually look over my shoulder and see them quite easily, whereas more of a floppy hat, I couldn't see what was going on behind me, so that was quite handy. Yeah, great. Okay, so I hope you found this video useful. We've given you quite a lot of information to take away, to think about. Of course, it's not the whole thing. If you've got any more tips yourselves or any more questions, please put them in the video below and we'll get back to you. And also, if you're interested in Blaze Trails, it's a fantastic organisation. It's doing really good work getting new parents and babies out and about into the countryside, and it's just so good for everybody. So if you're interested, we put the link below in the video. Have a click through. Katy's got all the information on the local groups that are there, and loads more information, checklists and that kind of thing, for help you, just give you a bit of background before you, to give you the confidence to get out and about with your baby. So thanks ever so much for coming in, Katy. It's been brilliant. And thanks guys. If you want to subscribe to our channel, please do so. And if you hit the like button, that really helps. Many thanks.